Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that's going to help you become your best self. And today we are talking about how to overcome burnout in your personal life, feeling overwhelmed. But before we jump into that, as always, I want to invite you to come say hi to me on Instagram. I am at Sabrina Joy Perozzo. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, feedback, topic suggestions, if you just want to chit chat with me and tell me how your day is going, or if you need any sort of specific tidbits of advice, I am there for you. If you prefer to send me an email, you can do that to realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com, or you're welcome to visit my website, which is sabrinajoy.com, and there's a contact me page there where you can reach out there, and you can go ahead and sign up for my soon-to-come newsletter that will come out next month. Very excited about that. So I just wanted to let you guys all know that all of that information is in the show notes below, but let's go ahead and jump into today's episode, which again is how to overcome burnout in your personal life. So I've discovered over the last few years, not I wish I'd known this longer, right? I feel like, don't we feel like that a lot when we've discovered something and we're like, man, I really wish I'd known this like 10 years ago because it would have been so darn helpful. But I've discovered over the last few years that it's pretty easy to become burnt out in your personal life just as easily as it is in your professional work life, because I say this because, it seems like people speak more about burnout with their jobs and not just having to deal with like the people in their lives or too many commitments or learning something new. The list is endless, right? There's so many things in our life that can definitely lead to burnout in our personal life as well. And granted, it's so super important to talk about burnout in the workplace. Funny enough, just the other day, I actually did do a presentation because that's what my job is. Well, part of my job is to talk about wellness topics, and the wellness topic I chose for February of 2022, if you're listening to this in the future, is I talked about how to overcome burnout, and that was geared toward talking about burnout in a professional atmosphere. So it is important, and it does need to be talked about, but I feel like it also needs to be talked about in regards to our personal lives because, I believe it's important because we need to realize that it's not just some sort of like taboo thing that we can't share with others or need to feel shameful about, right? It's just something many of us deal with, like feeling overwhelmed, because I feel like a lot of topics that don't get a lot of airtime aren't spoken about very often, especially by all like the big names, big influencers, big motivators of the world. People feel really awkward talking about it because it's not a popular thing to speak on, when I don't think it matters whether it has popularity or not. If you are dealing with it, it definitely should be brought up and spoken about. Which is why I want to talk about burnout in your personal life. And, when I started doing research for this topic and thinking about it, I definitely, took some time to reflect on if I had, just thinking about it professionally, had any, experience with burnout in a professional setting. And after reflecting on all of my jobs that I've had, and I've had a lot in my life so far, I don't believe I've suffered true burnout in any job that I've had, which I'm grateful for. I am super happy about. And I've done a lot of jobs, and even the few high-stress jobs that I've had, the reason that I left those jobs had nothing to do with feeling burnout, and I never really hit that point of feeling burnout. But I have experienced burnout in my personal life, like a ton. And in, like the couple like high-stress jobs I'm referring to, is I did do like bed planning overnight in the emergency department, and that was kind of high stress a lot of times because I did it overnight. So we had a lot of like different kinds of patients coming in. Another job I had that was pretty high stress was I was a flight attendant for a while, and that was high stress because you basically are there to make sure everyone is safe, and if something happens, you are in charge to figure it out to keep everyone safe. So despite that, I still didn't have burnout. It was just I left for different reasons, which again I'm grateful for. No bragging, but it's another reason why I just thought it would be really, really good to talk about burnout in your personal life, because that's something definitely I can like 110% relate with. I've had a ton of experience with that. So personal burnout is very much like professional burnout, where you end up feeling overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and like you aren't able to do everything that your life demands. If anyone's felt like that, then, buckle up, because there'll be a lot of good information for you here today. But it's excessive, like mental, emotional, and physical stress that drives you to your end, really, right? It's just like you're about to hit a brick wall. That's what you feel like is impending on your life. And these feelings, feelings of being empty, devoid of motivation, and no longer caring about what you used to really care about, is concerning and should be spoken up about more. That's, again, another reason. It's so important to talk about burnout, not just in professional, but in your personal life. And I heard it said best during this research on burnout, that burnout is a slow depletion of mental and physical resources. A slow depletion. Because a lot of times when you're going through burnout, you don't realize that you are going through that. That is what the experience that you are having. And fear not, I do have a list of questions for you to ask yourself to review and decide whether you are personally dealing with burnout. So we will get to that in a little bit. But yeah, I just thought it was really good to understand it in so many different ways. A slow depletion of mental and physical resources. And to quickly understand the difference between burnout and stress, because I know a lot of people are like, well, what you're talking about, Serena, sounds a whole lot like stress. It kind of does. But, the difference between burnout and stress is feeling burnt out leaves you feeling empty and hopeless. Like you feel like you're going to continue to go and go and go and nothing's going to change. There is no positive outlook. It just feels like it's never going to end. It's never going to get to the place you want it to go, or it's never going to get to that exciting ending, or it's never going to change if it's something that's just relentless and keeps going, versus stress, which feels very much like just overwhelming and like too much, and like it just, you're overloaded and you want to break, right? So just so you kind of like know, I still know that line is very faint and subtle, but it is there and it's good to know. So burnout has happened to me a lot with certain friends in my life, just to be candid, because the relationship was like very one-sided and too much, to be honest, emotionally for me to handle or even contribute back to because of my own emotional issues. Like if I'm going through a hard time and they are going through a hard time, but their hard time started at first, or it just seems heavier or whatever, you want to be there for them to lean on you, but then you're realizing over time that you don't have that shoulder space for them to lean on. You're tapped out. You're done. You don't even have enough room for you. You're trying to figure that out. You're trying to go and lease out other shoulders for you to lay on. And so that's like the experiences I've had where I've just totally burnt out in these relationships with friends, because it just it feels like you keep going, you keep supporting them, you keep being there for them. And nothing changes and nothing seems like it's going to change. But despite knowing, it's funny with burnout, because despite knowing I was reaching my end and kind of feeling it, but just continue to go forward, because you're like, well, maybe something will happen, not really hope, but it's okay, well, this is the only path I know. I kept it going, and it would cause major burnout for me, that I would just tap out completely for a while. There was definitely relationships, friendships, I was just I'm going to tap out. I can't do this anymore. And it just, because I came to a point where I just didn't care. It was just done. I was just I'm over, I wasn't mad or anything. I was just, I'm just done. I'm just done. We're over this. So maybe you relate to that. And there's other times, this has happened to me with specifically, this is a very, very generic example. So I apologize if you're I hate this one. Totally fine. But other times, with a specific fitness plan or eating plan or those things together, I thought that I needed to do it, and I ended up burning out because I kept it going for too long and never took the time to evaluate whether it was going well or not. I remember a specific time where I just kept going, and I had in the back of my mind okay, well, I'm told in this training plan that things are going to progress and get better, but they never felt like they were getting better, but I just kept going, and I ended up injuring myself, and things were just terrible. Right? And I just burned out of that because it was the same thing over and over again. And it just felt hopeless. There was no positive ending because it was taking so long to get to any sort of positivity or happiness in that. So, but your personal instances of burnout could be different, right? Obviously. They don't have to be necessarily what I went through. Those are just like the few examples I wanted to give you to kind of understand what I'm talking about. Because it could have been for you, it could have been like had to do with like demands that others are putting on you, like from friends or family. It could be like volunteer obligations where, they're just continuing to like ask you to do more and you're not saying no. And it just continues to pile on and pile on and pile on. And it doesn't seem like there's any end. And you're not like you're in addition to getting more like things to do, you're not getting any additional fulfillment or happiness or joy from this, right? And you just feel like you have to keep going because this is the situation that you're in. And if you back down, then especially if you have a little bit of like people pleaser sprinkled in there, you're like, well, I can't let them down, of course. And so you just keep going until you just run out of compassion, you just run out of care, you just run out of everything. You're just done. You're empty. You are running on E, like far beyond the little slash. You're done. It reminds me of an episode of Seinfeld, actually, where like Kramer and the car salesman guy are like, he takes the car for a test drive while Jerry's back at the dealership trying to buy a car. And from David Putty. It's so funny. If you watch Seinfeld, you'll understand. If not, okay, so really quickly, basically Kramer and the car sales guy take this car for a ride and they realize that they're almost out of gas and then they just push this car as far as it can go without gas. And, I kind of find myself doing that sometimes in my own personal car. I really try to like not do it. And luckily cars these days definitely give you like an average amount of like how many miles you have left. Definitely been caught on zero several times, but luckily my Honda just like has that reserve tank. And I kind of wish I didn't know about that because then I wouldn't like, press my limits so much because I know my husband is like going to laugh at me the day I call him and he's like, well, I'll be there when I'm there to give me some gas. Anyway, but yeah, so if you just feel like you're on empty, you feel like you're at the end. And you could also be dealing with like detachment. So that would be like, you just know like you're just going so hard in your life that you no longer like want to go on dates, even with your partner, your spouse, whatever. You don't want to have meals with your friends. You don't want to do anything fun. You just want to stay home and just be home and just do nothing, like literally do nothing. You just feel like there is no point in doing nothing and you're just not interested in anything you were interested in before because of burnout and everything feeling the same and nothing feeling great and nothing feeling worth it. Right? There's no that fulfillment feeling or feeling like it's even worth it to even try to figure out how to make it fun again. So whatever is causing you excessive and prolonged stress and feelings of being overwhelmed, in addition to feeling helpless, it is possible you're experiencing burnout. And so if you still are unsure, because again, I can see how it's like, is it just stress or is it burnout? Here are 8 questions that I want you to ask yourself so you can determine if you feel like you are struggling with burnout. So the first question is, do you feel like every day is a bad day? Do you feel like it's just like, you like anticipate it's going to be a bad day? It just feels like a bad day. If you were to reflect on your day every day, it's like it's a bad day. You wake up and you're like, it's going to be a bad day because it's been a bad day and I have no hope that things are going to change. The second question is, are you often exhausted? Like, are you just tired? You're just tired about everything. Even when you see people that are like your favorite people, even when you are about to go do something that you traditionally would just absolutely love and adore. Nope, you're just exhausted. It's too much. It's overwhelming. You are tapped out. Number 3, do you dread your commitments? So like in a professional setting, it'd be like, do you dread any work that you have to do? Do you dread going to work? But in a more of like your personal life, do you like dread any commitments that you've made, whether that is meeting up with your friends or your spouse or going to do fun activities with your friends, or maybe there are activities that like it's more like a volunteer kind of base and you're just like not looking forward to it at all whatsoever, despite how excited you may have been like a week, a month, a year ago when you signed up for these things, right? Maybe you saved a lot of money to go like on a vacation and you're just dreading it. Like it's just these commitments are just like, no, because everything else is just like taken over all of the reserve, everything that you have to give, and nothing seems like it's going the way that you want. It doesn't feel good anymore, right? Number 4, are you bored or overwhelmed in everything you have to get done? Does it just seem like it's not going to be, you anticipate it not being fun? It doesn't feel fun. It doesn't feel happy. It just feels like another thing that you have to do. It just feels like your plate continues to just get taller and more overwhelming, just too much, just like it's going to all like tip over at some point. Number 5, does it feel like caring about anything doesn't seem worth it anymore? It's like you did care about your friendships. You did care about, training for this race. You did care about these cool video games that are going to come out. You did care about going to that art gallery opening. You did care about that concert that's coming up. And now it's just like you just don't feel like even caring is worth it. Like it's just not worth it anymore because everything else just seems so bleak and empty. Number 6, are you noticeably irritable during certain things? So if there are certain things that are really driving home this burnout, do you find yourself to be irritable in those things that you might think are being caused by burnout? Are you irritable with these certain people? Are you irritable during these certain experiences or commitments that you have to do? Do you see your irritability going up in those things particularly? That might be something for you to keep an eye on, to see, to help you figure out what's going on. Number 7, do you find yourself just wanting to give up? You're just like, I'm done. There's no point. Why are we even doing this? There is nothing for me at the end. And there's nothing for you now. That's kind of how you're feeling in that moment. And number 8, the last one is, are you less productive or making mistakes you normally wouldn't? So less productive in your regular life of maybe you have chores to do, maybe you have errands to run, things that you have to do in your personal life. And you're just not as productive. You just don't get them done. You just let them go on for a long time. Or are you making more mistakes? Are you forgetting to pay your bills? Are you forgetting to check up on things that need to get done? Are you forgetting tasks that need to get done before a certain day for your week or your month to run smoothly? Are these things happening? Because if so, you might be struggling with burnout. So after thinking about all those questions and maybe taking some time to ask yourself those questions and determine maybe it is, maybe it's not. It's just good to be aware of what's going on with ourselves, something I talk about all the time, which is why I have question lists like this to help you review your emotions and reactions with yourself, because it's really good to figure out, am I dealing with this? Am I not? Ask these questions, be honest with myself, figure out what's going on. It's also the reason I speak a lot about self-awareness, because self-awareness is basically understanding yourself better and knowing why you react the way you do, why you're having these emotions, what's triggering you, and being aware of that so that you could figure out what you could do instead or better to enjoy your life more, have more happiness and contentment without just fighting with yourself, fighting with your emotions, and feeling like you're not going to get anywhere and overwhelmed. And so it's super helpful to practice self-awareness, and I will never back down on that. So some other things to consider before we jump into the tips on how to overcome burnout. Some other things to consider that might be causing your burnout if you feel like anything we've talked about so far does not hit home, totally get it, is not knowing when to tell people no when it's too much. So if you don't have those personal boundaries, if you just can't say no to people and you continue to let it pile on and it just becomes too much and no one else is observing that it's becoming too much and you don't say no, that could definitely be contributing to your feelings of burnout. Being around too many toxic people because they're not helping you or supporting you or being there for you or listening to you when you need to vent or, helping you become more aware of maybe you're doing too much, or maybe you're just trying to hit it home and feel like you have to do all this stuff, but hey, you might need to take a step back. You might need to reconsider this, or maybe here's another way for you to find a positive outlook on this. They're not doing any of that. They're going to suck all the energy from you. And so being around too many toxic people can definitely contribute to burnout. Neglecting to prioritize yourself instead of others. Of course, we have to put ourselves first if we do want to be able to give energy to other things that involve other people, because if we just give all of our energy up to other people, we'll have none left for us, and then we'll end up being depleted for longer. needing to recharge for longer than we initially would. And then believing you can literally do every single thing. Some people think of this as like, I am the superhero, I can do it all. And you cannot do it all. I'm sorry. I don't want that to hurt your ego or anything, but you can't do it all because there's going to be too much, right? And no one should expect you to do it all. And if they are, they are definitely contributing to feeling burnt out from this experience and maybe other things that are going on in your life. And then the last one I do want to mention is like lacking the control you want over everything. Unfortunately, along with wanting to feel like you can do everything, having control over everything is impossible. Believe me, I am, like, I guess what you would say is a recovering control freak, and it's not possible to have control over everything. You will not make it. It will not happen. You will feel like death if you are trying to do that, I assure you. And we don't need to have control over everything. We just need to let things roll as they're going to be and learn how to be flexible and take the punches as they come, right? There's going to be ups and downs, and then there's going to be a lot of middle ground where you're just coasting. So like wanting to have control over everything and trying to balance all of those things at the same time, you will eventually have an outlook that is hopeless, and it just feels like it's not worth even caring about at some point because there's no positives coming out of that. It's only negative. It only feels like you're continuing to be sapped of all your energy and your ability to do anything, and you will burn out. So in talking about that today, I'm going to share with you 5 tips on how you can overcome burnout in your personal life. I realized that there was kind of a lack of transition there, but it kind of felt like it went there, but you know what I mean. So we're going to get to those hard-hitting tips you guys enjoy. These tips could definitely bleed over to professional burnout if that's more of what you're dealing with right now too. But again, we are focusing on burnout in your personal life because I feel like that is what really, really, really needs to be highlighted right now. Okay, so like I said, 5. Number one, is create more short-term goals in your life. So a lot of times we can get burnt out and feel hopeless because it doesn't feel like there's an end. When we have a goal that is set to be prolonged for so long, for like weeks and months, if you don't sprinkle in some like short-term goals or milestones for you to celebrate yourself, you will feel hopeless because there's going to be longer, like in a long-term goal, which you can still have that. You just need to implement those short-term goals in the middle of it, have it all work together in harmony. Because if you don't, and you're just like starting here in September, ending here next June, whatever, it's a long road and journey to go without you celebrating anything, without you like really taking the time to evaluate whether things are going well or not, or if there needs to be change. You just kind of feel like you're running down this or slowly walking down this dusty road. And at some point you're just like, oh, does this even matter anymore? Like nothing is changing. It seems like it's going well. There's times where you will be on a long journey and maybe you're just more cognizant to see that like, yeah, things are going, grooving and moving. But maybe you just subconsciously implemented milestones in there. So you're taking those breaks to evaluate how the journey is going rather than just continuing to coast along and like really want to give up at some point because it feels like you're not getting anything out of it because you're not like having those small little like breaks in. So, less hopelessness feelings because there's an end if you have short-term goals, or if you want to look at it more like having milestones in long-term goals and being able to take a check-in point, and then you could change things if they're not going the way that you like or enjoy or need it to go for whatever reason. Okay? So create more short-term goals. Number 2, spend time with people that care about you. I found it really funny for me to put this as a tip because it's a good tip. It's a solid tip. It's a helpful one, especially with burnout. For someone, I don't want you to think I'm a hypocrite if you do follow me on Instagram because I don't really spend time with other people. So let's evaluate. I don't do it a lot on purpose. And it's not because I don't have friends. A lot of my friends did recently move away though. So that is a thing. And you're like, well, why aren't you out there making new friends? It's really hard to make friends as an adult. It's really hard to make friends when there's a lot of like rules on what you can do right now in the world. And also, I'm more of an introvert, really. Um, so, like there's things that I do, like my daughter does children's theater, and one adult is required to volunteer for each child, and I do that. So I have friends there. And I, from time to time, will help lead like a Bible study at church, which I'm about to do soon. So I have friends there. And I do sing at church like once a month, and I have friends there. But for me, I don't spend a lot of time with other people, but I guess I do in a fashion of like, I text back and forth with friends that I don't see in person, and I do like online Zoom chats with some people, and so that's the way that I spend time with people. I think my whole rant about that for you was just to let you know that if you are like me and you don't necessarily see a lot of like people in real life, but you see them online or you see them when you can, this still counts. But I find it super important to spend time with people that care about you, because support is so encouraging and motivating and a great way to like take a break. Because as you can tell from my first tip of creating short-term goals, you're implementing like little breaks in here. So you're kind of giving yourself a breather. You're giving yourself a chance to really like evaluate like what is going on. And at least with spending time with people that you care about, that care about you, they're there to continue to like pump you up and give you like a high five and be like, you're doing great, and like tell me what's going on, and you're able to like verbalize what's going on, and maybe you haven't really had a chance to do that. It's just all in your head, and by verbalizing it out, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how I felt about this because I haven't really told anyone about it. And then getting those feelings out, and then they can maybe help you like change your mindset on something or do it a different way, or kind of just like, it like tell you how excited they are for you and encourage you. And it's just so motivating and help you, especially if it has been feeling like whatever you're doing in your life is kind of lacking, going kind of slow, feeling a little bit hopeless. It can like help pick you up from there and be like, no, you just got to keep going, and kind of like push you to like not give up on yourself and all of that kind of motivational kind of stuff. So spend time with people that care about you, because also if you decide to spend time with people that are toxic, I don't know why you would, but if you did, those people are just, again, going to just like soak up all of your energy, leave you with nothing, and then kick you to the curb. Okay? You don't want that. Let's not do that. Number 3, find value in things you have to do and celebrate small wins. So the first part of this, find value in things you have to do. This is really important. It's even something that I talked about in the professional burnout, presentation that I gave at my job. Is it's important for you to evaluate the things in your life that maybe you once found fun or enjoyable, and now you no longer do, and you don't find the value or the necessary need to do it. It feels like it's not even worth caring about anymore. You need to widen your perspective, and you need to see it in a different way. So if you really enjoyed, let's see, I want to talk about working out, but it's like the most generalized example ever used in the entire world. Okay, maybe it's just like cutting your grass. These are things that you have to do in your personal life, or I don't know, creating like a budget for work, or not for work, excuse me, for your household or something like that, right? Because I'm talking about finding value in the things that you have to do, like that you need to do. Like as an adult, you're like, okay, I have to do these things, right? So if you have to like take care of your lawn, if you have to like create a budget for your household, if you have to go grocery shopping, right? To, stay alive, have food. I mean, I know a lot of people deliver these days, but you still have to like tell them what to buy, which can create decision fatigue. So in these things that we have to do, you want to change, you want to like shift your perspective a little bit. You want to find a way to see it in a different way. So if you hate grocery shopping, and you're like, I don't even like feel like it's even worth it to do it. I don't care. I'll just eat until there's nothing here, and then I'll figure it out. Like these adult chores that I have to do are just burning me out, and like other things in your life are like up and down, and so you kind of just feel hopeless about that. And so it doesn't even matter. You don't even care about taking care of your body. You don't care about the sustenance that you need to stay alive, right? So it's just like doing things like this, or if you have to create a budget for your household and you're like, doesn't it seems hopeless to like try to figure out where I can save money and how I will have enough money to go grocery shopping, and these kind of things. You got to be like, okay, well, can I make a game out of it? Or can I like, set a timer? How quickly can I accomplish this, right? Or maybe see it as like, okay, well, if I had to create a budget, maybe I should find something that I could like slowly save for and something I can look forward to and something that will be fun, like a vacation. Or you maybe want to buy something. Maybe you want to buy like a kayak. I say that because a friend of mine just recently talked about how she wants to buy, no, not a kayak. She wants to buy a paddleboard. But anyway, if you don't have the cash to just do that right away and you don't want to just like throw it on a credit card, which is not always the best option at all, then you want to save for it. And so that can kind of like widen your perspective and see it in a new way. Like, okay, well, I have to do this stupid budget, right? But maybe I can have a little place where I'm saving. And every time I have to like review the budget, I can see how much I've saved for this paddleboard, for this new couch, for this new gaming system, whatever you want, this new car. There's a guy I follow on TikTok. He's always talking about how he's saving up, trying to get people to donate for him to get a Tesla. It's hilarious. It's a real goal, but the way that he's going about it is hilarious. And so things like that. So you have to find value in the things that you have to do in your personal life, so that you can not feel so hopeless. So you don't just kind of just like let things go and just don't do them anymore. And know that and find a way for you to reinvent them, make it worth it. Grocery shopping kind of sucks, right? Maybe you can go on a different day at a different time and it causes less stress, and it also makes it feel like, okay, it's actually worth it to come now and to make it a point to come on this day at this time, because then it's not like this big chore as bad for me to do it. And maybe I enjoy it. Maybe I enjoy it because there's less people and it's kind of like I have my own zone and space, and it's not stressful to find a parking spot and all of these things. So anyway, I'm joining on and on and on, but find value in things you have to do. Shift your perspective. The second part of this tip was to celebrate small wins. So find value in the things that you have to do, and then celebrate that small win that you have. So if you were able to evaluate your grown-up adult budget you have, and then you did decide to start saving for something, a little bit something on the side, maybe the next month you're celebrating the fact that you were able to save more last month than previous months, and maybe you're going to push yourself to save a little bit more this month and figure out how you're going to do that. And then that's going to be like really exciting for you. Or maybe celebrating small wins in your life. Or like, okay, I hit a PR in my workout. Or, hey, I was able to, talk to this person. Or I did a really good job, talking about something in my book group. Or, I really had a very deep come to Jesus moment conversation with a friend of mine or someone in my family, and that really needed to happen. And that is a win for me. So whatever it is, celebrate small wins, because it helps, again, break it up, and you can see the point to life. You can see life is worth keep going, to not give up. It's not hopeless. You're not feel like you're just floating through the world detached from everything, because again, burnout is much like feeling like hopeless, feeling like it's not worth it, feeling like you're detached, feeling like why even to keep going? It doesn't seem like anything positive is happening. It's because you have to stop and acknowledge the positive things that are happening. So celebrate the small wins. Number 4 out of 5. Number 4, set boundaries with yourself and learn to say no. Oh my gosh, it is so super uber duper important for you to learn how to set boundaries with yourself. I say that because a lot of us know how to set boundaries with other people by the other part of this was learn to say no. Make sure you say no when you just have too much, you just can't do it, or you don't want to do it, right? But when we are establishing boundaries with ourselves, we are telling ourselves that we are going to stick to a budget. We are going to limit the things that we engage in, because if we do too much, then it kind of like sets this negative tone or this other mood that's not going to help us, not going to help our mindset and our belief system in what needs to actually get done, and we're also not going to overwork ourselves or get involved in too many things, because we know if we do that, that is not good for us either, right? We're also not going to try to like push our responsibilities out as far as possible. Like, we're not going to like, okay, well, I don't want to do the whole grocery shopping thing. I'm just going to order in food every single week. No, you're going to limit yourself to that, because you know that you still have to be a responsible adult. And if you are on a budget, that's really going to break your budget a lot, probably. You're just going to really be in check with yourself and make those decisions of like, okay, yeah, this is good and this is not good. This is what I should be doing. This is not what I should be doing. So I encourage you, set boundaries with yourself, because that'll help you to realize, like, hey, I need to figure out what's best for me and what will work best for me, so I'm not feeling like I am falling into this behavior pattern of getting burnt out because I'm just letting myself be push, keep going until you hit that brick wall and you burn out, right? We don't want that. We want to prevent that. We want to get out of that. We want to move on from that. So set boundaries with yourself and learn to say no. I already talked about that a little bit earlier. Say no. Just say no, okay? Just be like, no, don't feel guilty. They'll make you feel guilty probably sometimes. Sometimes they won't. That's nice. But you got to learn how to say no, because you have to stand up for yourself and realize, if I don't want to do it, or if I already have too much crap to do, why do more? I don't need to be doing more. Who am I proving this to? And if I do feel like I need to prove myself to these people, then they are not worth being friends with or having a relationship with, because if that's what I have to do to prove myself, to like go do more above and beyond than I really can actually do mentally and physically, it's not worth it. Okay, number 5, and our last one to wrap this up. Number 5 is ask for help as much as possible. Ask for help. Asking for help is so important. I do not do this well. I even was maybe aggressively speaking to my husband about it. And he's like, we really need to talk about this in like couples counseling, because I have this expectation that people should just want to help out of the kindness of their heart without being asked. And it's an unfair expectation that I put on people because I am so helpful without being asked, right? But that's not something that everyone has. So I personally am working on asking more people for help, because I feel like there's been so many things in my personal life that I have burnout on. And then I don't do anything because again, I hit that wall of hopelessness and it's not even worth it. Not even worth even thinking about it. So I'm worrying about it. It's like nothing's ever going to get better. It's all going to be the same. Even if I do it, it just feels like I'm just going to like die someday and not even realize it's happening because I'm just done. I feel like I'm set up in flames. It's like that meme of like, I'm fine. It's all fine. But no, we got to ask for help, which again, will kind of like stop us in our tracks and realize, wow, I am doing too much. I need to ask for help, or I need to move on from something, be like, I just can't do this anymore, or I don't want to be engaged in this anymore. Or you just have someone come and like hum up alongside you and be like, okay, can you please just help me with this? Take this off my plate, help me become unburdened with this thing. And then you're able to see more clearly the less stuff that you have to do on your own and evaluate whether it's important or not, and whether it needs to change or not for it to be a better experience, for it to be something more fun, for it to be meaningful. So ask for help. I think it's a good tip that I give in a lot of different topics that I talk about, because I don't feel like we do it enough. And I don't want you to think that asking for help means that you're weak, or that you're incapable. You are actually just being the most resourceful that you can by asking other people to help you do things, which means it's done quicker. So there is that. But that's everything I have today. I hope these tips have really helped you. I know they're interesting, and I know that they take time. Most things do. Now, a lot of things don't happen overnight, but I hope that they were helpful. I did find myself explaining them a lot more than I anticipated, but hopefully that's helpful too. If not, please let me know. Just let me know, because all the feedback is so helpful. But Thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast again with me, Sabrina. If you do have feedback or just want to say hi to me again, check the show notes below where you can find me on Instagram at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, or you can send me an email to realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com. I will respond to you guys there. It'll be so great to hear from you. Again, thank you so much for listening, downloading, and sharing the show. And I hope this has really been helpful in talking about burnout in your personal life, because it can happen. It could be happening and you don't even realize it. So that's another reason why I wanted to talk to you about it. Because we all need breaks. We all need breaks in life. We all need to be shooken up and be like, okay, things need to change so that it can get better. But until next time, have a good one, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.